I'm glad to have you back on Beyond the Headlines on DDM TV. The Julius Abure-Led leadership of the Labour Party has welcomed with excitement the announcement that P2B will again contest the presidency in 2027 under the party's platform. According to the party's National Publicity Secretary, Abure-Led, the news is a positive development despite the ongoing leadership crisis rocking the party. Ifo stressed that communication between Obi and Abure is still open and that there are efforts behind the scenes to mend broken ties before the election season fully kicks off. This show of optimism from the Abure camp comes at a time when the Labour Party is heavily divided. A power struggle continues between the Abure-led National Working Committee and the rival faction, reportedly backed by P2B and Governor Alex Oti about their state. Though the Supreme Court recently gave a ruling on the party's leadership, it did not settle the matter clearly. Still, the Independent National Electoral Commission has so far recognized the Abure faction, especially in approving its candidate for the upcoming Anambra governorship election. Obi, a former governor of Anambra State and the Labour Party's 2023 presidential flag bearer, confirmed over the weekend that he would again contest the presidency on the same party platform in 2027. In a short video that spread quickly online, Obi addressed a group of supporters, saying he remains a member of the Labour Party and will continue his political journey with them. Obi's statement surprised some members of the opposition, particularly those involved in a proposed coalition of parties aimed at unseating the ruling government. A key figure in that group, Babasha Lawal, admitted that he was unaware of Obi's decision and would have to hear from him directly to understand his plans. Beyond party politics, Obi spoke on the broader issues facing Nigeria's political system. He blamed many of the internal conflicts in the political parties, including those in the LP and PDP, on the interference from the government. He recalled that during the presidency of Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, steps were taken to quickly resolve such issues, but that kind of leadership is lacking today. He also encouraged Nigerians not to give up on the democratic process. Obi urged citizens, especially the youth, to stay engaged and ensure their votes count in the next election. He warned that those benefiting from the current broken system would resist change, but insisted that real progress depends on strong opposition and proper party structure. Interestingly, Obi also touched on the topic of age in politics. By 2027, he will be 65 and said he does not see himself contesting for office in his 70s. He believed there should be an age limit for politicians seeking public office to allow room for fresh energy and new ideas. In spite of all the challenges, party divisions, political interference, and system failures, P2B's declaration has brought a new wave of energy to the Labour Party. Whether the party can resolve its internal issues and present a united front remains to be seen. But for now, his return to the race has sparked hope among his followers and sent a clear signal that the battle for 2027 has already begun. Meanwhile, a major political shakeup may be on the horizon as leading Nigerian politicians from different parties, Atiku, Abubakar, P2B, and Rotimi Amechi, came together in Abuja over the weekend in what is being seen as the beginning of a powerful new alliance. Their goal is clear: build a strong opposition that can challenge President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the 2027 election. This high-level meeting, which included other key political actors, focused on how to create a broad-based coalition that cuts across regions, parties, and interests. According to sources familiar with the meeting, the group is working fast to lay down political structures in all 36 states of the Federation. Special attention is being given to the North, where political support is being gathered through a wide network of former lawmakers, local leaders, and youth representatives. Now, each northern state reportedly submitted a list of 40 to 100 influential figures who will help drive the movement at the grassroots level. The leaders are still debating the platform that this new alliance will use. Options on the table include taking over an existing political party or forming a brand new one that reflects the values and diversity of the alliance. The aim is to present a unified, credible alternative to the current ruling party, the APC, while also drawing support from the Nigerians who feel disconnected from the current political structure. Now, one of the major ideas being considered in the merging of several smaller grassroots-based political parties that may not have national reach but are popular in their own states. By joining forces, these smaller groups and the bigger names hope to create a coalition strong enough to take on the APC in both federal and state elections. At the heart of this movement are a few key goals: to provide a fresh political direction for Nigeria, unite the country across ethnic and regional lines, and push for free, fair, and credible elections in 2027. The group also wants to raise pressure both locally and internationally to ensure that the next elections are not only competitive, but are also transparent. However, President Bola Tinubu isn't just playing politics. He's playing 10 steps ahead. According to respected political analyst Dr. Amadi, on Arise TV, Dr. Amadi didn't mince words, calling Tinubu a master of dark politics, someone who not only understands power, but knows exactly how to keep it. Unlike the current opposition figures who seem stuck in ego battles and unclear strategies, Tinubu is already setting the stage for 2027, laying traps and planning moves like a seasoned grandmaster on a political chessboard. While the Atiku coalition appears distracted by internal ambitions and weak coordination, Tinubu is organizing from the shadows, planting insiders, shaping narratives, and tightening his grip across Nigeria and his institutions. Dr. Amadi warned that this isn't politics as usual. It is a high-stakes game where only those prepared for the dark arts of political warfare can stand a chance. Without a clear vision, unity, and a serious groundwork, the opposition may once again find themselves outplayed before the race even begins. You're watching DDM Beyond the Headlines. If you love this video, do not hesitate to hit the like button, make your comments, share this video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more exciting topics ahead. I am Tochku Raphael. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Internal cohesion, coherence, and seeming, focus of the opposition, then one could say that President Tinubu is correct, that essentially of all the parties, the APC is the most stable, of course the party in power with the capacity to dispense reward and create win-win for many people. One of the problems of the APC, of the opposition, is that Nigerians' pecuniary focused, oriented politics, the politics of self-interest, requires large apple and the possibility of multiplication of the proceeds of politics. And so when you are a president or when you are the party in power, you have room to manage conflicts. So if you want to remove your chairman of your party, you could send him ambassador to US or high commissioner to London, or you could send him or her chairman of MPA. So that capacity to really create win-win in multiple ways enable the ruling party oftentimes to ride over storms. The opposition parties themselves don't have that, both fiscal and opportunistic ambit or bandwidth to shape things. So first, they are stuck. Either they are principled, determined, and understand the pursuit of power as a matter of either ideology or existential crisis or even long-term political interest and not short-term. What happened in 2015, there's a shift here. In 2015, most of those outside power were united by a desire to get PDP out at all costs and scope a long-term reward system for themselves. So President Tinubu, for example, who was one of the leaders, if not the main leader, withdrew back, allowed 8 years to come back. But what is afflicting the opposition party is short-termism, number one. Two, they are more diverse in their political calculations and especially than we had with the opposition in 2015. And since 2015, ethnic configuration has changed. The ethnic politics, thanks to President Buhari, and the ethnic urgency of different group sections wanting to come to power is now much more pressing and urgent and divisive. So you now have, in the mix, an anxiety on, zoning, rotation, who gets power quick. And so that also has kind of made negotiation, a lot more difficult for them. But nevertheless, I think that what gives hope for the opposition is that the government is struggling in many ways. It's part of what it thinks about its policies. If you use the historic assessment that was given to us by Dudley Sear many years ago, 1962, which is what's happened to poverty, inequality, unemployment, those basic indicators show that the government is not able to, kind of seal the deal with the Nigerian people. That's huge frustration. And the opposition, imagines that they can weaponize that frustration to take Tinubu out of government. But on the basis of their own organizing and their coherence, if you are an analyst, you will not give the score to them. But if you're looking at the fact that the government, APC government, seems to be scoring own goals in many ways, then we are set for perhaps a competitive election in 2027. So I agree that the opposition party is not doing well, and the prospect of a coalition, which everybody wants, or at least all those in the opposition, looks a little bit, not able to happen, or somewhat difficult to get through because of the polarizing nature of the actors themselves. Okay, so it looks like everybody must be president in these 4 years.
All right, Dr. Amadi, I'm really glad that you made reference to 2015 because some people might argue that the definitive thing in 2015 was the fact that the incumbent was ready to concede, which is something that we may not see anytime soon. My question is, what should the coalition be focusing on? Should it be galvanizing the population of the North? Should it be electoral reform? Should it be, where do you think the real defining factor lies for having a real chance at defeating an incumbent, for coming against federal might in 2027?
This is a beautiful question. I mean, look, my argument has been that the opposition is focusing a lot on elite politics and less on two areas I think they should focus on. One is electoral reform. Look, electoral reform is like a Nigerian, we are now jaded. People, but look at the point. If you look at 2023, at least two of the leading political opposition parties claim to have won the election. The Labour Party claimed that they won, that the beavers failed them, that they were rigged out. PDP claimed the same thing. But since 2023, they have done nothing to push for real reform. Now look at three areas they've done nothing. INEC was opaque. INEC's operational process is very, very opaque, not transparent, not participatory. For example, if you look at what happens elsewhere, even county level in the US, the county election board does an open hearing and votes. Every time, whatever choice decision they make about elections, are decisions made what we call in administrative law, decisions on record, voted intervenors. The parties send their lawyers to make an intervention. Those interventions, just like a court, quasi-judicial, they make a hearing and make a determination. So, but here, in 2019, I've been arguing that the first crisis of the election in Nigeria is that the administrative procedure for decision-making is not controlled in a manner that INEC is restrained. For example, the issues around beavers, how do you deploy those things? Issues around electoral transmission. Those are not issues we leave for INEC post-election. They begin to quarrel. You have to be sure that INEC's decisions are made openly with consultation. So parties are not engaging them. They're not doing anything. That's basically not, they're not doing elections. Now look at the issue around the judiciary. We see that part of the crisis is that the courts themselves have either misconceived sometimes the electoral jurisprudence, or have actually aided errant INEC officials to actually rig election by not inquiring or by using technical burden of proof and front-loading and allowing the victims of possible electoral manipulation to carry the burden of even inventing evidence where INEC itself refuses to turn in the subpoenaed evidence itself, as we saw in the case of Kogi and several areas. Of course, there have been minority Supreme Court decisions that says this is not good, this is not fair. How are the courts try to push a legal opinion that tries to, change and open the electoral jurisprudence in a way that the purpose of electoral jurisprudence, which is to allow the votes of the people to count. What have they done towards that area? So they have not done enough to first create a possibility that if an upset happens at the poll, that upset will be declared by INEC and the court will validate it. The second area they have not been doing well is that they have been doing a lot of conspiratorial politics. So the big guys meet at rooms and talk, but they're not really engaging the voters. They want to turn against Tinubu. They simply feel that the government has failed. But that's not true. In the last couple of weeks, this APC government has turned in much more remarkable political communication. They are doing better, in my view, in managing political communication. They are coming from a difficulty. I mean, the problem is that an incumbent runs on their record. And as long as things are bad, it doesn't matter the presumptions or the policy intentions. The outcome ruins the party for you. And so every incumbent in a election is in difficulty to try to win because every bad thing is your cause. So Tinubu is in a difficulty because the impact of policy, at least in this time frame, is negative. But they are doing better work communicating their position. They are doing better work framing. So they did, apart from Mr. P2B, actually, who has not by way of strategic communication, but by way of engagement, meeting people, the opposition is not really, is taken for granted that there is a vote constituency, they will just go and cash in. All we need to do is to put Obi, Atiku, Amadi, Erufai in a room and they agree and first ADC or SDP, bingo, we are home. That is fallacy. They are not engaging in mobilizing the people and proposing what people can ask. Okay, you said Tinubu did floating the naira. How about you? You said the same thing. What would be different? When people ask that question, they struggle because they're not thinking around how do we frame an alternative and how do we even communicate it. So the notion that, well, I think you've just, made those 3 points are very critical. In fact, you don't illustrate that we are in a worse spot than we were in 2023. Look at what happened in Edo Tribunal. I mean, how can anybody, INEC had declared election on a fake result sheet, accreditations were not done, verification of the numbers supposed to be put on prescribed form. And the court says, you know what, you brought the beavers here, it didn't operate it, we can't dump in us. I mean, those kind of things. That's what they should be doing. They're not really working hard on that. And the issue around alliance and ego, I think the problem is that in 2015, the contrast again, there was a sense in which you had politicians who probably understood who should go first. It was clear that Buhari had the votes of at least a constituency, always had more than 9 million in each election that he failed. So being bankable votes. And the leaders were perhaps clearer in their mind that this is where to go. Here, I think there's a problem of people perhaps exaggerating their importance, their right to govern. And so the ego crisis, the ego crisis is going to be a problem. More, again, here, and this is clear, Jonathan was not that intense and didn't play the politics of, the type that Tinubu is a master of, the dark politics. The PDP took it, we are going to get everything done last minute. Again, he had a more independent INEC, where, in fact, their body language was even against the ruling government. So it was a difficult proposition, and the APC was able to. But here you have a government that understands the dark arts of politics, and in fact, perhaps proficient and not restrained in using them. They've learned from their success, and they've learned from the PDP failure. So it's likely they're going to have more, intrusion into their camp, betrayals. They're going to, plant in people. But what I see is that the level of seriousness that the APC had as opposition and their capacity to extend to civil society, engage all societies, dribble, manipulate, even engage the media, we're not doing it now. Because there's no person who is leading this as first, let's get this government out. Every person is leading it as, let me have opportunity, either it is for now or 2031, whatever it is. So the difference is that you are not, this is not from an organizational strategic perspective. The coalition is weak on strategy, weak on organization, much more diverse in terms of their expectation and interest. and then you've not had an ideation. What does it represent? And then leadership has to, there be somebody who is driving this, and that somebody should be magnanimous enough and trustworthy that everybody says, okay, fine, this is the guy. Maybe somebody who is not even going to be a candidate. So they need to tighten in terms of, creating a structural integrity and coherence. And then seeing that they're dealing with an enemy, quote unquote, who is more subversive and dangerous than PDP was in 2020. Dangerous in the terms that they know how to disrupt things and they are willing to disrupt. And then again, the stakes are higher now. In 2019, the body language of President Jonathan is, my ambition is not worthy anybody's death. And you can see a sense of, he was prepared to drop the ball.
Dr. Amadi.
But here, not just Tinubu, most of the guys are not willing because a lot is at stake than in 2015.